Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your emotions and unable to control them? Don't worry, you're not alone. We all experience this in our daily lives. So how do we stop letting emotions control us? The answer is not to avoid emotions, but to learn how to view and face them rationally. Stoicism, a philosophy passed down from philosophers like Epictetus, is a powerful tool to help you achieve that. In today's video, we will explore 11 Stoic exercises that can help you control your emotions and live a more self-controlled life. Welcome to Wisdom Daily. Today we will dive into the lessons of Stoicism to help strengthen your ability to face challenges. Let's begin this journey together now. Exercise 1. Examine your impressions. Emotions can cause us to lose control. We have all been in situations where emotions took over our actions, right? Have you ever felt angry when you were stuck in traffic during rush hour? Or have you experienced disappointment when your hard work went unrecognized? Those are the moments when we can easily get swept away by our emotions and act without thinking clearly. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught us an important lesson. Do not let initial impressions control you. This means when you're facing a situation that triggers strong emotions, instead of reacting immediately, you should ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, take action immediately to resolve the situation. But if the answer is no, let it go. Remember, emotions only control us when we allow them to. Stoicism does not require you to avoid emotions, but to control them and not let them dictate your actions. Try this today. When emotions rise within you, take a few seconds to think about whether you can do something to control the situation, or if you should simply let it pass without reacting. For example, when you feel angry because someone badmouths you, instead of reacting immediately, ask yourself, does this emotion really help me? If not, let it pass and remain calm. Remember, Stoicism is not about eliminating emotions, it's about mastering them. When you gain control over your emotions, you not only become stronger in life, but also more resilient in any situation. Exercise 2. Remember the impermanence of things and accept. Failure, life is impermanent. Everything can change in an instant, and this is not always easy to accept. You've likely experienced a time when everything you held in your hands seemed to fall apart, or when you put all your effort into something only to see it not turn out as expected. We all have moments when we feel like we've failed, and the important thing is, you can learn how to face those failures. Epictetus reminds us, everything is impermanent. Life changes constantly, and we cannot control every outcome. This is an important lesson in Stoicism. We cannot control everything in life, but we can control how we respond to those changes. So, how do we face impermanence and failure? The answer is acceptance. When you face failure, instead of feeling despair, think of it as a natural part of life. Failure is not the end point. It is just a part of the process. We can learn a lot from failure if we face it calmly and do not let our emotions take control. Try a simple exercise today. When you face failure or difficulty, close your eyes and remind yourself that everything will pass. Remind yourself that change is inevitable, and you have the power to choose how to respond. Just like when you stand in the rain, instead of getting angry about being soaked, you can choose to accept it and find opportunities to learn from the shoe. Experience. Sometimes the outcome is not in our hands, but the process and attitude we take toward it are what truly matter. Stoicism teaches us that what matters is not the result, but how we act in each moment. When you learn to accept impermanence, you will find that life becomes much easier. Exercise 3. Use virtue in the moment. Life is a series of challenges. Every day, you will face situations that require you to respond, from major challenges to small, everyday issues. But there is one thing Stoicism teaches us. Every challenge in life is an opportunity to demonstrate virtues. Have you ever realized that the most difficult moments are the times when we can best practice self-discipline? The moments when you face injustice at work, when you're angry at someone, or when you have to deal with failure, are the perfect opportunities to practice virtues like patience, fairness, and self-control. Epictetus once said, "View challenges as opportunities to practice virtue." When you're confronted with a difficult situation, try asking yourself, how can I respond with fairness and patience in this moment? How can I remain calm and not let my emotions dictate my actions? Real life. Example, imagine you are being criticized by your boss in a meeting. Instead of immediately reacting with anger or justifying yourself, you could pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, this is an opportunity to show patience and fairness. Let me listen and absorb the feedback calmly. You'll find that when you can remain calm and face the challenge with a positive attitude, not only do you demonstrate maturity, but you also strengthen your virtues. Always remember, virtue is not something we seek in times of comfort. It is formed when we face adversity and learn how to act properly in those situations. Exercise. 4. Stop and breathe, practicing. Stoicism requires patience and reason. One of the most important lessons in Stoicism is not to react immediately when faced with stressful situations. Imagine a typical situation. You receive an email from your boss criticizing your work. You feel discouraged, angry, and want to respond immediately to defend yourself. But instead of doing that, Stoicism teaches us that rushing into action will only make things worse. What is the Stoic principle here? Epictetus emphasizes, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. Emotions may cause you to react impulsively and without thought, but if you stop and take a few seconds to think, you can respond in a more rational way. How to do it? When faced with a stressful situation, instead of reacting immediately, stop and breathe. Simply take a few seconds to check in with your emotions and reflect. You might ask yourself a simple question. Is this really worth reacting to right now? What will my actions do to the situation? Real-life example. Imagine you're standing at the checkout counter in a supermarket, and the person in front of you isn't paying attention to the items being scanned.
You feel irritated about having to wait and want to immediately complain to them. However, instead of doing that, stop for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I letting my emotions control my actions? Can I continue with calmness
and not let this affect me? After a few seconds of thinking, you may realize that reacting will only make you feel worse, and staying calm is the wiser choice. This not only helps you control yourself, but also makes you feel free and stronger in every situation. Stopping and breathing is not just a stress relief technique, but a habit that helps you live with reason, not letting emotions dominate your life. When you practice this exercise daily, you will gradually become more patient and self-controlled, two key elements of Stoicism. Exercise 5. See through the eyes of others. One important aspect of Stoicism is the ability to view problems objectively. Have you ever felt irritated when someone doesn't do things the way you want? Or felt unjustly treated when someone else treats you unfairly? These feelings are natural, but Epictetus teaches us that we should not only view problems from our own perspective. Try viewing every issue as though it's happening to a friend, rather than to yourself. When you stand in someone else's shoes, you'll be able to understand why they acted that way and feel lighter. Real-life example. Imagine you're driving and someone cuts you off unexpectedly. At that moment, anger might rise within you. However, instead of just feeling angry and criticizing the person, try asking yourself, how would this scene look if I were the one in their position? Perhaps they are in a rush, or they didn't notice you were nearby. When you change your perspective, you'll realize that the anger is unnecessary. You no longer let it control your actions. Stoicism encourages us to always look at situations from different perspectives, not just our own. When you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, you will easily maintain calmness and fairness, which will help you respond correctly in any situation. Exercise 6. Speak less and speak well for. Many people talking and sharing about themselves is a way to connect with others. However, in Stoicism, speaking less and speaking well is an important virtue. Have you ever noticed that conversations can become meaningless when people only talk about trivial matters or even stories just to brag about themselves? Epictetus emphasizes, words should be used to convey wisdom, not to add unnecessary noise. Speaking less and speaking well doesn't mean being silent, but rather knowing when and what to say. In conversations, focus on topics that have value, not just everyday stories about food, entertainment, or personal tales that offer no deeper meaning. Real-life example: think about the meetings or casual conversations you participate in each day. Instead of engaging in meaningless small talk, you could focus on sharing deeper thoughts about your work or lessons you've learned in life. By doing this, not only will you enhance the quality of the conversation, but you'll also demonstrate maturity and the Stoic mindset. Speaking less but with purpose helps you avoid unnecessary conversations, maintain focus, and add value to the words you speak. Remember, sometimes silence is the wisest choice. Exercise 7. Choose your companions wisely. We often hear the saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." This is not untrue. The people you communicate with and spend time around have a significant impact on how you think and act. In Stoicism, choosing your companions wisely is one of the most important things. Epictetus says, "Be cautious of the people you spend time with, for they can either lift you up or bring you down." If you want to become a more patient, fair, and self-controlled person, seek companions who share those values. They will help you develop and strengthen these qualities. On the other hand, people who constantly criticize, complain, or live negatively will influence you, causing you to fall into negative thinking and actions. Real-life example. Think about the people you've spent time with over the past week. Have they motivated you to become better? Have they encouraged your personal growth? Or did they make you feel stagnant and unmotivated? Be careful in choosing your friends and colleagues because they have a huge impact on your mood and personal development. Stoicism encourages you to spend time with those who can help you progress, people who are better than you or those who share the same vision and values. When you have such companions, you will easily live with virtue and grow as a person. Exercise 8. Respond to insults with humor in life. We cannot avoid insults or unpleasant situations. However, Stoicism teaches us how to face these situations with calmness. Instead of reacting strongly or angrily, you can respond in a wiser way. One way to deal with insults is by using humor. Not all insults deserve your serious reaction. Sometimes a self-deprecating joke or a humorous response can stop the insulter from continuing. This is how Stoicism helps you maintain your calm and not let negative words affect you. Real life. Example. You might recall a time when someone criticized your appearance or your work. Instead of getting angry or justifying yourself, you could laugh and say something like, "Yes, I'm really working hard to be the heaviest person on the planet." This response not only makes you feel at ease, but also makes it difficult for the other person to continue their criticism. Using humor is an effective way to prevent insults from affecting your mood and emotions. Remember, in Stoicism, maintaining calmness is the most important thing. Exercise 9. Don't talk too much about yourself. We all have personal stories, and there's nothing more enjoyable than sharing moments from our lives with others. However, in Stoicism, there's an important lesson. Don't talk too much about yourself. Epictetus teaches us, do not let your words become the center of the conversation. It's easy to get caught up in sharing personal stories, but the reality is that people don't care about your story as much as you think they do. Talking too much about yourself can make you seem arrogant and prevent you from listening and learning from others. Ask yourself, when you share about yourself, are you truly creating a meaningful connection with others? Or are you just trying to make yourself stand out? In Stoicism, speaking less but speaking wisely is an important virtue. Your story can be part of the conversation, but it should not dominate it. Real-life example. Think about a conversation you participated in recently. Did you talk too much about yourself? Perhaps you shared too much about your recent vacation or a personal achievement that you felt proud of. That's fine, but try to take time to listen to others. When you focus on listening and understanding them, you'll find that the conversation becomes much richer and more meaningful. So remember, in every conversation, don't let your story take all the spotlight. Give others the chance to share and feel the true connection. Exercise 10. Don't judge. Too quickly, Stoicism encourages us to live a life without judgment because we don't have enough information to judge others. It's easy to evaluate others based on what we see or hear, but that can lead to misunderstandings and unnecessary negativity. Epictetus says, "We cannot judge another person's actions when we do not know their circumstances." Every person has their own story, and we cannot understand all the factors that lead to their actions just through one encounter or one particular situation. Real-life example. Imagine you see a friend dressed sloppily and acting coldly in a meeting. You might think they are unprofessional, but do you know that they just had a very stressful day and are facing personal difficulties? When you stop and think like this, you'll realize that you cannot always judge someone just by their appearance or behavior in a single moment. Judging quickly not only makes you misjudge others, but can also hurt yourself. Always remember that everyone has their own story and circumstances, and sometimes we need to be patient and understanding before making any judgments. Exercise 11. Reflect on your day. Finally, Stoicism encourages us to spend time each day reflecting on our actions. This is a wonderful way to improve yourself and live a more meaningful life. Epictetus emphasized, to become a better person, we must examine our actions every day. Self-reflection is not only about looking back on your mistakes, but it's also an opportunity to recognize your strengths and weaknesses. Take a few minutes at the end of each day to ask yourself, what did I do well today? What did I learn from my mistakes? How can I improve tomorrow? Real-life example. Every night before going to bed, you can take a few minutes to think about the situations you went through during the day. Maybe you overreacted in a stressful situation, or perhaps you showed patience and fairness in a difficult moment. This will not only help you recognize areas for improvement, but also guide you in making adjustments and becoming better each day. When you practice self-reflection, you'll realize that change doesn't come from a giant leap, but from the small adjustments we make every day. And those small changes will help you live a stoic life, one of self-control and meaning. Now that you've learned how to master your emotions, accept the impermanence of life, develop virtues in every moment, and reflect on yourself every day, you are gradually building a stoic life. It is an ongoing journey, and every step is an opportunity to become the best version of yourself. Today, we've explored the 11 Stoic exercises that can help you control your emotions and develop virtues in your life. We've learned how to master our emotions, accept the impermanence of life, and practice virtue in every moment. Each exercise not only helps you overcome challenges, but also helps you become a better version of yourself every day. Stoicism is not an abstract theory. It is a practical way of living. You can apply these lessons today to live a calm, self-controlled, and meaningful life. And most importantly, remember that every difficult moment in life is an opportunity for you to practice virtues and grow. As a person, we cannot change the wind, but we can adjust our sails. This is the Stoic spirit, accepting what we cannot change and focusing on what we can control. And you right now can begin changing the way you face the world around you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom Daily so you don't miss out on more lessons on Stoic philosophy and personal growth. Share this video with your loved ones and leave a comment below to let us know which Stoic lesson you've applied to your life today. What do you think about applying Stoicism to overcome challenges in life? Share your thoughts with us, and together, let's create a life full of calm and meaning. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.